meeting to order at 7:33 p.m. At present with me, I have Councilor Magrath-Smith and Councilor Linda Bacon. Walking in, I have Councilor Bartley. With us in council chambers are Madam President Murphy-Romboletti and Councilor Ocasio. Online, we have Councilor Kevin Jordan and Councilor Cocaine Givner. And we had Howie Graney, but I do not see him here now, but he might come in later. So for item 1, I'll entertain a motion. Yes, sir.
Okay, just remove item 1 from the chair.
Here a second.
You can second it.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And then before we do that, let me do the motion to roll call vote that for the purposes of this meeting would be applicable to all motions to remove an item from the table, place items on the table, package items, or suspend the rules unless there is an objection. Here a second.
Second.
Yes, so I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. So item 1 is a continuation to, if you were present, from the Charter and Rules Committee. This was a order filed by myself, Councilor Magrath-Smith, and Councilor Murphy-Romboletti. Order that the City of Holyoke accept and adopt the provisions of Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 43C, Section 12, entitled Optional Forms of Municipal Administration for the purpose of creating a finance department as outlined in the statute. Said acceptance shall be subject to implementation by city ordinance and any necessary amendments to the city charter. This order shall be referred concurrently to charter and rules and ordinance to be considered jointly with recommendations regarding implementation to be reported back to the city council jointly. See attached Municipal Modernization Act of 2025. So we took this up in the meeting right before this. There was a lot of conversation around it. I'm not sure I kind of want to rehash a lot of it, but if any of you guys have any questions, I know Councilor Bartley just walked in, so I'm not sure if you have questions, feel free.
I watched the whole thing.
Okay,
So I'm good.
perfect.
Thank you.
So my understanding is that for the time being, this is being tabled, right, until we figure out how we're going to move forward, whether or not, or do we want to entertain a motion to move it forward as a vote and then see if at full council it passes or it doesn't pass? I'm at the will of the body with regards to this particular item. And then it would probably be item 1 and 2, because it sounds like 2 might be the similar item 2 as well. Councilor Magrath-Smith.
I wonder if it might make sense, based on Councilor Bacon's question earlier, for us to read through the section that we're discussing and to have an honest conversation around, is this the path we want to take, or do we want to take an alternative path, which could be fine. But I do think it makes sense to talk that through and either decide if we want to make a shift and go a different direction and propose that to council, or if we want to do this process through this optional structure that we have here.
Alrighty then. Jeff, would you be able to pull that up just in case, that Chapter 43C, Section 12, just in case everybody does agree in that particular mode. Councilor Bacon, I see your hand raised.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I would request is that we do a review of the entire chapter 43C. I don't think you can just look at one section without looking at the whole law. We can't really make a decision unless we look at the whole law and understand how it applies.
So, what was that?
Or we could ask the city solicitor.
Okay. So, I need a motion real quick.
My motion is that we would request our administrative assistant to provide us with the 43C Mass General Law so that we can review it in its entirety relative to Section 12. I'm not sure you can just adopt one section of the law.
Can I ask a question?
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, is Mike still on the line with us?
Yes, and then Councilor Jordan, I see your hand after.
Oh, Can I ask Mike a question?
Yes, you may.
We already suspend the rules?
Suspend the rules. Motion to suspend the rules for City Solicitor Bissonnette to chime in.
Second?
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Mike?
Aye.
Mike, I heard you say in the prior meeting you had a memo from February 24, and you're going to send that to Jeff, and Jeff will disseminate to all of us. Is that my understanding?
Yes, if you don't have it already, we'll send another copy.
In what packet?
Give me a second. I'll give you that.
And if I have already, I haven't even opened this, so I'll happily review it. I see one from October 24th, 23. Is that the one, Mike? Is that it, Mike?
Yeah, that was the first iteration of it, yes.
Oh, okay, great. And then just one more question.
Yes.
Mike, in the, as you and I probably know, you more than me, just, reading the law is one thing. And so just in a pure written form, but has it been discussed in the annotated chapters, Mike, at all? And if so, have you reviewed that?
No, it hasn't.
So, okay, so it hasn't been parsed out in any way, shape, or form, even with law review stuff or anything. It just sits there pure as snow, right?
I don't know about pure as snow, but it hasn't been the subject of litigation.
Okay, but okay, so maybe I'll go to the law library myself and because sometimes just to a chair, just to Mike, and just so sometimes it helps us to review what if it's not courts and sometimes other professors and law review articles and things like that, they tend to parse it out so you can almost understand it as opposed to reading that chapter and verse, Mr. Chair. It can be very dense. Now, some of those
It's usually set out in the literature as kind of a home rule amendment spin-off, and that's why it was created to sort of give form and structure, like they do with the different plans, Plan A, Plan B, Plan C governments. This was an offshoot of that.
All right, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Sure thing.
Thank you. Councilor Jordan?
Yeah, I had two questions. I think we mean section 11 for our discussion, not section 12, because I think 12 is about community development offices and 11 is about finance. But I had a precursor question I wanted to ask Attorney Bissonnette about is, in the preamble of this section, it says that there's a requirement to have a vote of the people. Isn't that a precursor before we have the authority to adopt an ordinance under this section? So I guess, am I trying to understand, are we trying to debate whether we're going to have a public referendum first under this section in order to have a vote of the public who then empowers us to adopt an ordinance under this section?
So it provides, that's a great question, by the way, because it's very confusing, and you have to go to section 14 of the law, where it provides, notwithstanding any other provision of this act, the city council may, and I think, thank you, Jeffrey, any city may by majority vote as defined in section 1 of the definitions of chapter 44, adopt an optional plan of municipal administration under this chapter or revoke such a plan. So that's got that, we see it a lot, notwithstanding any other provision of law, which is usually a signifier of never mind any other laws. Just look at what we say here. This provision, to my mind, Counselor, says, never mind what we say in the rest of this particular act relative to the petition process. The city council can go ahead and reorganize itself. Very similar to what they did when they allowed towns to combine collector treasurer without referendums. This is just one more way And it can be by petition, or it can be by this section 14 process. Hope that's helpful.
Yeah, no, that is, and that's interesting. So I guess could we go back to 11? Could we just put that, I just wanted to understand this because that one also says, notwithstanding any other law to the contrary, adoption of this by a vote of the people. So we've confirmed, Mike, that it's a vote. So I guess this would mean notwithstanding section 14, right? So if you read that, it's like, which one is notwithstanding the other? Because 11 says it requires a vote of the public, and then I guess 14, it's the council, but I don't know how you read those like harmoniously. I have to give it some thought. I wanted to just kind of puzzle it because they both say notwithstanding any law to the contrary. And it's kind of interesting, and because it's certainly 11 sort of reads that you have this public referendum, should we adopt this? And then once we get the blessing of the people, then you can go and create this ordinance. That was my reading of that second paragraph there, so I was kind of interested in your take on it.
It's kind of contrary to the normal way that legislative actions language. This one seems to say, under section 11, never mind any other law. If you want to do this, you can. And here's what you can put into the municipal finance department. And then when you get to 14, it says, oh, by the way, you're allowed to disregard the petition provisions of section 11 of this act, just of this act, if you want to go by a majority vote of the council to enact a finance department. So it's very tricky, and it leads me to often wonder, why not just do it by ordinance? Because it's the same effect. You have to create an ordinance under this consolidated department, and by approval of the voters in January, you're also going to have to include in that ordinance the qualifications for that appointed position of treasurer. So there's a lot involved with complying with section 11, section 14, and the vote of the people.
I think your last point there, Attorney Bissonette, is an excellent one, because at the end of the day, this all results ultimately in us having to adopt an ordinance anyway. So it almost seems like we just get to it and do it by ordinance, because either way, we have to set all this stuff by ordinance anyway. So it seems, I'm not sure we need 43C section 11, and we just have to create the ordinance anyways. This just is another vehicle for us to create an ordinance. It seems like, let's just do the ordinance of whatever we want it to be, and go about it.
I'd note in the language they call, and I think TJ pointed this out earlier tonight, that here they call it a director of municipal finance, but in other places they call it the chief financial officer or the chief chief financial and operating officer. There's a variety of different names, but it basically spells out what should be under this. And there's really, this is really the blocking and tackling of your municipal finance. And so how you structure this and make sure there's smooth reporting, I think, leads you on that road to the goal of accountability, better accountability. So this is just a template. You're absolutely correct that you're allowed to create your own ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Bacon, then Magrath-Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess if the question before us is which direction do we want to proceed in, I guess I would fall on the side of wanting to proceed through ordinance and then whatever needed charter changes were made, rather than 43C, which sounds rather messy and complicated depending which section you're reading at which time. But the makers of the order, I think, are the ones that really need to speak to how they want their order to move, right?
I'll be honest with you, at least from my perspective, and I'll allow Councilor Romboletti and Magrath-Smith to speak. Magrath-Smith actually will speak next. To me, it's about the conversation and the dialogue and trying to build this together. All of us chiming in and having this conversation, so that way, when we bring it to the full council, everyone has had their piece and had their say, and it could be something that we move together and agreed on. But I'll recognize Councilor Magrath-Smith so she can speak her piece, and then if Murphy-Romboletti wants to as well, she can.
Yes, my question was to Solicitor Bissonnette, if I may, through the chair to the councilor, or solicitor, sorry. My question is around what is the benefit of moving it through 43C versus just doing it through ordinance changes and then to a home rule petition? I'd love to know just the pros and cons. This language initially from this order that I put forward along with Rivera and Murphy-Romboletti came from this memo that I had read that came through Charter and Rules some months ago. So that was why I had initially started with this language for that order. But I would like to understand, is there a reason why the solicitor was initially saying we should adopt this versus just going through ordinance? I'm happy to do whatever process makes the most sense for council.
One of the things, if I may, Mr. Chairman, is that there wasn't much direction as to what folks wanted to include, to exclude, what duties and functions should be part of the Department of Finance. This was the state's template, if you will, and so this is what we put forward as a possible means to create a Department of Finance with a Director of Finance or a CAFO to indicate which departments should be, as illustrated by the state statute, what should be under this new department and how it should be organized. Again, very early on, all in anticipation of first getting a ballot question on at some point prior to the conclusion of Rory's term, and then also beginning to develop a strategy for what happens if that referendum passes. And so this is where we've come from. Now we have arrived at a point where we have the document, Municipal Modernization Act, available. So again, this is almost like a menu in a restaurant where you have several columns, and you can pick some of the provisions in Section 11. You can pick some of the provisions in the Modernization Act. You don't have to take all of one or all of the other. You can combine certain provisions. So I hope this is going to be a process of doing that, and we arrive at a final ordinance draft that everybody seems to think is very possible. So I think this is a good start tonight.
Thank you. Any other questions? I entertain a motion to table it for the time being then?
It's up to you. What do you want to do?
Sure.
You made the order.
All right. So
I'll second it then.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Roll call vote. Councilor Bacon? Councilor Bartley?
Yes, sir.
Councilor Rivera, yes. Councilor Magrath-Smith?
Yes.
And then Councilor Bacon again?
Yes, is this for 1 and 2?
This is just for one. I think
Okay.
2 is a very similar order. Some of the language is a little bit different, but if it's exactly the same, then we will move on. I'll entertain a motion to take up item 2, actually.
Second?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item two is filed by Councilor Bartley, Jordan, and Vacan, April 2nd, 2024, that the City of Holyoke amend any charter ordinance and any other regulations relative to its tax collector and combine the office with its city treasurer so as long as charter change to appoint rather than elect Holyoke City Treasurer is approved by the legislature and Holyoke. I got the wrong one.
Yeah. Here you go, pal. Here you
What happens when you guys do two meetings at the same?
go. When you guys, oh, whoa.
But we would have did it.
You are the vote man.
If we would have did it at the same time, we would have had that problem.
Oh, sure would have been better.
Yeah, way better. Been done already. Item two is filed by Joe McGiverin. November 9th, 2023, order that the pursuant to Section 12 of MGL Chapter 43C, the City of Holyoke, acting by and through its City Council and Mayor, creates a finance department as provided for in the statute, subject to implementation by city ordinance, approved with an effective date no later than December 31st, 2025. So this, to me, and I could be corrected if I'm wrong, doesn't read exactly the same as item one. That's why I kind of wanted it to be a package, but then after I read the second one, this one sounds like it's creating a finance department via ordinance, which kind of sounds similar to what City Solicitor Bissonnette was referring to, but I could be wrong again. So anybody can chime in and clarify if I am wrong. And the quietness makes me feel like I'm right. Councilor Magrath-Smith.
I thank you to the chair. I think it's interesting that this has been taken up in different iterations. So this was back November of 2023 from McGiverin. And the concept, of course, was to create a finance department. Although from what I'm understanding from Solicitor Bissonnette, we have in front of us a series of ordinance changes that we could make that doesn't require that process, and that we could just make the changes under ordinance and then move to a home rule petition and move it through the general court. I guess one of my questions is we could amend one of these orders in order to say that we're not going to adopt this special process, but instead we're going to proceed through ordinance, or we can file a new order that goes through council. So that's just sort of a question, is would we prefer to amend one of the orders or to, I'm not hearing necessarily, I feel like what I'm hearing from folks is they would prefer to just adopt through ordinance and keep it simple. I don't know if I'm accurate in that, but that's, at least from the voices that we've heard chime in, that seems to be a building consensus. And so my question is, would we want to go that route? I do see Solicitor Bissonnette's hand up.
So I asked that question to the body. Let me recognize City Solicitor Bissonnette first, though.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. As I understand it, the order was filed with the MMA attachment as part of the order. If I'm reading the room right, it may be appropriate to, on item one, on this item, or on item one, to strike the order itself and just have the ordinance proposal, the draft ordinance, remaining, so that the body would not recommend the adoption, but would recommend further consideration of the attached ordinance proposal. And then, as Councilor Jordan, I think, suggested, we can get that up for people to look at, play with, edit, and perhaps then share at the next meeting their comments on the draft. And the members can go through that and further edit it. At least then you'll have a working ordinance draft to develop.
So for clarification, for the people at home and myself, real quick, right? If I'm understanding this correctly, you're saying to amend, more or less, right, the beginning piece of this order and only keep the end piece, and that would kind of solve what we're trying to do?
Well, it would eliminate the recommendation needed for adopting
43C.
43C.
Yep.
So 43C is gone. That's
Right.
off. And unless there's another order to be discussed or submitted, that would no longer be a consideration. The council would have chosen to go forward with just the remaining ordinance without needing the authorization from 43C.
So then it would read, the City of Holyoke acting by and through its city council and mayor creates a finance department as provided for in the statute subject to implementation by city ordinance approved with an effective date no later than December 31st, 2025. Is everybody okay with that? Making an amendment to remove the said language as ordered that the pursuant to section 12 of MGL 43C, just slash that out and only move forward with the City of Holyoke acting by and through its city council and mayor creates a finance department as provided for in the statute, subject to Councilor Bartley.
Well, I just want to interrupt. I just got a question.
No, go ahead. I was just reading the same language. Go ahead.
What do these do, 2, 3, what do they do other than what we're already doing in the first order? Do they do anything else
So the difference,
important?
so first, you're right. First 2 and 3, they're almost all the same, right? Except that I think 3 is accepting the provisions, which is almost the same except the 40. I think the first one is asking to change the charter, but the second one is very similar to the first one. But what we're amending is the piece where it says to change the charter at 43C and only just creating a finance department out of ordinance.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't you read it to me again, and let me just think on it again, because I'm hearing you completely,
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
No worries.
I guess I'd rather see it in writing so I can understand a little bit deeper. And on top of that, I feel like this is, while it's an important order, I feel like we've already kind of got our arms around it with agenda item 1, don't we?
Yes.
I don't feel like we need to, unless you want to keep this.
No. So with the agenda item 1, 2, and 3, technically what it sounds like it's going to end up being is that it's either another order is going to be filed asking to create it through ordinance, right? Or we keep 2 and we just eliminate this part where it says, and this is around the recommendation of Councilor Magrath-Smith and City Solicitor Bissonnette kind of like added to it. Where you can eliminate the part where it says pursuant to section 12 of MGL Chapter 43C, and I know you understand what I'm saying, but like I just got to read it. And then the other piece where we would keep is acting through the city council and mayor creates a finance department as provided for the statute, which will end up being the same order that gets filed later on. But if it's the will of the body for someone to file the order later on and come in through council again, it is what it is. I think right now what we're trying to do is try to figure out how to keep it moving without having to file something else.
So you want to keep some options open, is what
Right, I guess.
And I was just thinking we could just do the same thing to agenda item 1, but maybe that's confusing too much. Just amend that to have it either chapter 43C, section 12, or by ordinance. But if that's too confusing, just do it the way you're doing it. If that makes it, because you're the one on the meeting. So I'd rather do it the way you want to do it.
I'm with you on that. If you'd have mentioned that on item 1, we would have did that on item 1. But we're now on 2, so to me it's like.
Well, I didn't know we were going there. So if you want, why don't we just do it your way for 2?
Now, Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was only going to suggest that if we wanted to work with item 1, we just reconsider our action, take it off the table, take that first part out, and then lay it on the table again as amended.
Do you want
I
to
would
do that?
make that as a motion if the committee wants to do it that
Well, if you
way,
want
since
to.
the memo's already there.
Do you want to do it that way?
Second.
Okay, then, all right, then good enough.
So second, under discussion, anyone else?
Nope.
Meg, go ahead.
I'm just hoping that we can ask our assistant to bring it up on the screen so we can just fix the order in a
Just a-
visual way.
I don't think motions to reconsider debatable.
Oh, darn it.
I think you got to vote to vote.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, my bad.
I think-
Yes.
I think so.
My bad.
I'm not a
Yes.
parliamentarian here.
Yes, okay, now the vote, now debatable, so let's just, on the motion, roll call vote, Councilor Bacon,
Yes.
Councilor Bartley, Councilor Magrath-Smith,
Yes.
and then Councilor Rivera, yes. And that's reconsidering item 1, right? Striking the language,
Then motion, I'll make a motion to remove item 1 from the table. So,
second,
Second.
all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay, and then we'll make I don't want to do nothing unless you're ready.
I said all in favor, I heard only one aye.
I said, I went yes.
Aye.
Okay, 2 aye.
Write it down.
Okay, so go ahead.
Then I'll just make a motion to amend it 1, the way you said, to just add the language about, create the
Take
finance.
out.
Take out the language that accepts to adopt the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 43C, Section 12,
And add, you can do it by ordinance.
and then
I just want to do it the way you.
add the language that would say, huh?
Can I read it?
Let me see. Shall create a Department of Administrative and Finance Department
By ordinance?
by ordinance. Yep.
That's your motion, Megan? Megan, is that your motion?
So the motion would be that we amend it to say, order that the City of Holyoke shall create an administrative and finance department. Said acceptance shall be subject to implementation. Like all of that can stay the same.
Yeah.
So the only section that we're taking out is just from accept to statute.
Yep.
And what are you inserting?
Shall create an administrative and finance department. We can, I mean, maybe that's too specific, but that's what's in front of us.
But you could just leave in creating a finance department.
Yeah, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
So we're creating a finance department, and as outlined in the statute or as proposed via ordinance. Isn't that what you're saying, Mr. Chair?
That's exactly what I heard before.
I mean, is that what we're saying? What you made the order. I mean, I don't want to
I
mess up
made
the
the,
language.
I didn't.
So
I,
you okay?
So listen, again, I
No,
checked.
Tessa, I'm letting you look at Tessa's nodding her head.
No. I'm not. That got nothing to do with me. At the end of the day, like I said, I filed the order as the chair of the committee. It's just like every other chair
No,
committee
I'm
does. So,
No, I'm just saying I want to get the language right. So,
no, I'm with you on that.
for the purpose of creating a finance department as outlined in the statute, or as developed by amending city ordinances. I mean, can you make it any more clear than that? So that's my amendment.
Sounds fine.
Just add that last piece after the word, as outlined in the statute, or by way of amending city ordinances.
So let me do your amendment first, Meg. You heard, and then I'll add your amendment after because those are 2 different amendments that I just saw right now.
Well, mine failed for a second anyhow, so
And
I'm dead in the water.
Sorry, I'm such a visual person that I'm waiting to just see it on the screen so I know what I'm voting on.
Okay.
I'm just wondering here what changes you're looking to make. Because I've stricken out what appears you want to strike out.
Go ahead.
Thank you. My question around if we needed it to be broader than finance department is only because the current draft in front of us may not be the route that we go, but the current route in front of us adds IT into this, and so that's why it's called the administrative and finance department. We may not want to go that direction, but that's currently what the draft is in front of us.
That's fine. I think it would be okay to have an administrative and finance department, and later on, if it needs to be edited, it can be amended. It's not an issue to me.
Okay.
So, on the motion, I heard, was there a second? It was so far off now.
So Jeff, could you add the language before said acceptance? Can you add shall create an administrative and finance department? Period. And then, yeah, capital S. And then delete for the purpose of through statute. And I think you just have to get rid of the period and make the capital S a lowercase s.
All right, perfect.
Looks good to me.
There you go.
That look good?
It's fine with me. Good.
Yeah.
So, on the motion, roll call vote. First of all, did someone second that? Right.
Yeah, I'll second it, yeah.
Okay, roll call vote. Counselor Reagan,
Yes,
Counselor Magrath-Smith,
Yes.
Counselor Bartley, and Counselor Rivera. Yes. So that was item 1,
So we amended it, and now,
amending the language.
now gonna lay it on the table?
Yep, to lay it on the
So
table.
moved.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
aye,
Roll call vote. Counselor Reagan,
yes,
Counselor Bartley,
yes.
Counselor Rivera, yes. Counselor McGrath-Smith,
Yes.
yes. So back to item 2, and I would say
2, 3, and 4.
take 2, 3, and 4 as a package.
Can we suspend the rules?
Second.
And take 2, 3, and 4 as a package, please?
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
aye,
Item 2 again was filed by McGiverin, ordered that the pursuant to Section 12 MGL 43, Chapter 43C, that the City of Holyoke, acting by and through its City Council and Mayor, creates a finance department as provided for in the statute, subject to the implementation by city ordinance approved with an effective date no later than December 31st, 2025. Item 3, ordered that the City of Holyoke accepts and adopts the provision of MGL Chapter 43C entitled Optional Forms of Municipal Administration. And then item 4, filed or is from Attorney Bissonnette, memo regarding Optional Municipal Administration Act, Chapter MGL
5.
Chapter 43C.
Can I amend or can we take up number 5 as well? 'Cause I think it's all the same thing.
An amendment to add item 5 onto the package. Do I hear a second?
second,
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. This one was ordered by Councilor McGee. Ordered that the position of Chief Administrative and Financial Officer be created and added to Schedule A.
So for Mike's order, certainly I'd want to say,
Accept.
motion to receive.
Motion.
And then for the other 3, I would say, motion to, I don't know, the ordinances, I mean, they're already combined.
So let's do 4 first then.
Okay.
Quick.
All right, motion to receive, all right, motion to receive number 4. by me.
Second.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call
Aye.
vote. Counselor Bartley.
Yes.
Counselor Bacon.
yes,
Counselor Rivera. Yes. Counselor McGrath-Smith.
Yes.
And then 2, 3, and 5.
Would it make sense to give 2 and 3 leave to withdraw or complied with?
second,
And wouldn't 5 be the same?
yeah,
Well, 5 isn't done yet, is it?
Nah,
Didn't
I
it
don't
just,
think so.
hasn't this been tabled?
But that's all part of 1. No?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, then 2 and 3, I'll second the motion and give leave to withdraw, just so, and only because we already take up on 1.
Yep. There was a second on the table. All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Roll call vote, and this is to have leave to withdraw for items 2 and 3. Counselor Bacon,
yes,
Counselor Bartley,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera, yes. Counselor McGrath-Smith.
Yes.
And then, item 5, order that the position of Chief Administrative Financial Officer be created and added to Schedule A. I would entertain a motion to leave it on the table for now.
Well, Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Counselor
do
Bartley.
we have, and stop me if we already talked about this, do we have like a draft, I think there's draft language in here to create the job description? Did we do that already?
I believe they presented on that already.
Did we do the job description?
Rory.
The job description, I know this committee's taken it up a number of times, but to your point specific to item 5, Counselor Bartley, because the city council rules don't allow for the same order to be filed twice if one's already in committee, upon review of what had been filed, item 5, that the CAFO be created and put onto Schedule A, since that was already in committee, it is not included in any other packages. There are some other things similar, but nothing that would accomplish that goal. So even if you had the position created and the job description and everybody felt great about that, there'd be no way to pay them unless they were on a salary schedule, which is what all this order does, is put it on a salary schedule to be paid, and allows the council, and I know this came up before, to figure out where within that, are they going to go in at grade 13 or 14 or 15 to figure out what the salary range should be.
Just to Chair Roy, so do we want to put this on the salary schedule now?
Yeah, well, yes, I mean, personally, I'd love to see that happen, but I don't know that the full council is ready to take that action. But if they are, let's do it.
Well, I'm just saying, we don't have a job description though, so that I know of.
So in the package, in the Municipal Modernization Act, there's an entire section that delineates the roles, responsibilities, and qualifications.
Okay, so we haven't
of
adopted
the
that.
CAFO. Correct. You have not adopted that yet.
Okay, so we need to just table this for now. then.
Correct.
Oh, okay,
Correct,
that's
yes,
all I
yes.
wanted to hear. Okay, thank you, sir.
Good questions. Good questions.
Yeah, I was missing it.
No, that's good.
I was sorry about that. So I'll make a motion. Oh, sorry.
Councilor Magrath-Smith.
I just wanted to name that we did look at a job posting, and so it does exist. I don't have in my notes which meeting we looked at it in ordinance, but I know that we have. And I know Jeff could resend that out as well.
I don't understand. So we have language somewhere?
For the job posting, for the CAFO that we've looked at previously. It was the language that Kelly had created.
Yeah, a while back.
So we do have that.
Oh, so we can use that as a template along with this? There you go. Can I just ask one more question, Rory?
Yes, sir.
So, Chair Rory, can you, Rory, sort of do what you want to do, but would you consider combining, taking a look at that what Megan just said, and then taking a look at this, and then maybe come back with some potential language that we can use to the chair, and then when the chair takes up this thing, we don't have to start from the start.
100%.
You mind?
Whatever the council needs, we will deliver.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
consider it, yeah.
Yep. And I know from the
Dude, you're still elected. You're elected. You can do what you want.
Well, I'm the last one. How many people can say they're going to be the last elected anything?
Your wish came true.
My wish came true. I was fired. But in all seriousness, I know that from the first meeting, the mayor and TJ had a punch list of items that councilors were looking for. So along with what you just asked for, Councilor Bartley, kind of a comparison of the two job descriptions. If there's anything else that the Ordinance Committee would like to have prior to their next meeting, just let us know collectively and we'll make sure that you have that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So you want a motion table?
Yes, the motion table.
Motion table number
All 5.
5.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Roll call vote. Councilor Bacon.
Yes.
Councilor McGrath-Smith.
Yes.
Councilor Rivera, yes. Councilor Bartley.
Yes.
Motion to take up item 6.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item 6 was filed by Councilor Bacon and Councilor Jordan. Order that the City Council establish minimum eligibility requirements such as a 4-year degree in accounting, finance, and 3-year successful management experience for appointment as treasurer prior to initial appointment if voters approve that appointment. Councilor Bartley?
I was going to say, why don't we just get some draft language by Rory and others maybe along these lines too, if Roy would consider it. Again, he's his own person, but
So to that end, again, within the package, there is, I know that the Personnel Office led by Kelly Curran has done yeoman's work researching different communities and putting together a draft job description, which if it hasn't been shared, can be shared. In addition to that, in the Municipal Modernization Act, it delineates, again, all the responsibilities, the role, and what the qualifications would be for a combined treasurer collector. So there's a few different versions that council can act on and review.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Councilor Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to note that for the moment in time that we're in right now, relative to the vote that the voters took to make the treasurer appointed rather than elected, we need to do the job description specifically, I believe, for that position before we move forward with the combined position.
Yes, we have that too.
So I hear you, and then I'll entertain Rory too as well. Can you explain a little bit what the reasoning is as to why you would need to do one if we're going to kind of forego that or try to forego that potential position?
Well, I may have a misunderstanding, but it was my understanding that once the people voted to make it appointed, then we needed to take next steps. But if I'm misunderstanding what we need to do in that regard, I'm willing to do something different, but that is a definite decision that was already made. This other one is a proposal at this point.
No, yes. So, and again, I'll recognize Rory to try to clarify that, but I just think that the combining is the next step, but I could be wrong too. So I'll allow Rory to elaborate.
I think it might be the law department might need to let us know if we have to create a treasurer position or not. I think it's perhaps related to the home rule petition that we might need clarification on.
All right, City Solicitor Bissonnette, can you clarify that? And that's a great question too.
Yeah, the requirement is that the council create qualifications for the treasurer's position. That doesn't prohibit the combination of the positions, because the position of treasurer should have educational and professional qualifications similar but lesser than those required of the CAFO. So I think we're on the same page here, and I think we satisfy the mandate from the voters by doing just that. We put qualifications into the combined position.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Thank you, and that's a great question. So I'm hearing the motion I heard was to kind of couple this with the other ones until we get the language.
Yeah, we did receive a communication today, but I didn't really have a chance to read it thoroughly. I think we got it this afternoon.
Okay.
So I think we have an email draft, but I don't think everybody got to see it yet. So I'd make a motion to table so we can review it.
I'll second if everybody's all set. Yeah, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call vote. Councilor Linda Bacon.
Yes.
Councilor Bartley.
Yes.
Councilor Rivera. Yes. Councilor Magrath-Smith.
Yes.
A motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call vote. Councilor Bartley.
Yes.
Councilor Bacon. Councilor
Yes.
Magrath-Smith.
Yes.
And Councilor Rivera. Yes. Thank you guys all.
Good night, everybody.